Will the clerk please call the roll? Good morning. It's 11:01. Calling the roll for the Monday, October 25th Board of Control meeting. Nan Baker. Dale Miller. Jim Boyle serving as the alternate for Pernell Jones. Nicole English serving as the alternate for Mike Dever.
Here.
Mike Chambers serving as the alternate for Armin Budish.
Here.
Lee Tucker serving as the alternate for the fiscal officer.
Here.
Catherine Takaichek.
Here.
Quorum had.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from October 18th. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Nicole English. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Do we have any public comment?
No public comments.
No public comment. Please, let's go on to our first item.
The first item is BC 2021-594. The Department of Public Works submitting an amendment to contract with the Vallejo Company for the replacement of Green Road Bridge number 7.47 adjacent to Euclid Creek and resurfacing of surrounding roadway in the city of South Euclid for additional funds and the amount not to exceed $148,011.12.
Nicole English with Public Works. This is a construction amendment for the Green Road Bridge, which also includes a significant amount of resurfacing on either side of the bridge. There was a list of items that this includes. It's quite extensive. The main thing that's happened is there was a different thickness of asphalt on the road than was anticipated, and so we're using some more material than we thought. That's kind of the main driver, but there was a series of other little things that are included on our briefing memo. The good part is the bid was significantly under the engineer's estimate, 14% below, and so we are still underneath the overall engineer's estimate. And this is being paid with half of issue one, around 32% out of road and bridge, and the city of South Euclid has a share.
Thank you, Ms. English. Questions from the board?
Yes, what's the total project cost on this?
The total project cost is 3.9 million, a little bit over 3.9 million.
Any additional questions? Mr. Boyle, please.
Does this impact the timeline for the work?
No, so it should still be in line. It's anticipated to finish by the end of 22 season, so August of 22, which is the same as it was.
Any further questions from the board? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2021-595. Department of Public Works submitting an amendment to contract with Makovich and Pusti Architects Incorporated for general architectural and engineering services for the period October 28, 2018 through October 22nd, 2021, to extend the time period to 12/31/2022, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $50,000.
Nicole English again with Public Works. This is an extension for our general architecture services. Makovich and Pusti are working on two of our current projects, being the jail kitchen and also the Harvard roof as it relates to putting the solar panels on the roof at Harvard. And so we're extending because the construction contracts are going beyond their contract, and we need to continue their services for construction administration.
Thank you, Nicole. Are there questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
The next item is BC 2021-596. Department of Public Works recommending an award on a purchase orders to L.F. Donnell Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $64,645 for the purchase of one replacement new, never titled 2022 Ford F-550 crew cab truck.
Good morning, Tom Pavage, Public Works. This is a recommendation award to Donnell Ford. It's LF Donnell, not to exceed dollar amounts of replacement truck for our road and bridge department. Formal bid went to 10 vendors. We had 2 bids submitted. This is the lowest bidder, and this is a replacement crew truck with a mechanic's body.
Thank you, Tom. Questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Seconded by Ms. Nicole English. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved.
Thank you.
Next item.
The next item is BC 2021-597, the Department of Development submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to National Council for Community Development Incorporated, doing business the National Development Council, in the amount not to exceed $169,680 for the economic development and technical assistance services for the period of January 1, 2022 through December 31st, 2023, and recommending an award and enter into a contract with said RFP exemption.
Hi, good morning. Bob Plato with Department of Development. This contract continues the county's longstanding relationship with the National Development Council. NDC provides a variety of technical assistance to the county and its municipalities on economic development projects and activities. We have a pretty broad scope of services in the contract, so I wanted to give you some quick examples of what they did in the last contract period. So they assisted underwriting in the Centennial and Link 59 and Warner Swayze projects. They recently provided technical assistance to the city of Solon and Valley View for projects in their cities. NDC also continues to administer the Grow Cuyahoga Fund, which is an SBA 7A loan program. During the pandemic, because there was a multitude of other programs available to small businesses, the Grow Cuyahoga Fund didn't see a lot of activity. So instead, NDC assisted businesses with other types of lending. They made 22 PPP loans for over $2 million, and also the Cuyahoga County Stabilization Loan Fund made 20 loans to small businesses totaling $190,000. And then maybe last, as a lot of the federal programs are coming to an end, we're seeing more activity in the Grow Cuyahoga Fund again, and we still have capital in there to make loans to businesses.
Thank you, Bob. Are there questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
The next item is BC 2021-598, Department of Human Resources, recommending an award and enter into agreement with the Metro Health System in the amount not to exceed $49,500 for flu shot clinic services for county employees for the period November 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021.
Stephen Witt with Human Resources. This is a government-to-government contract with Metro Health for the flu shot clinics that will be held here at county buildings for county staff. There is a slight increase in cost over previous years. The cost went from $30 to $33 per flu shot. We have budgeted for 1,500 flu shots, which is in line with what we have budgeted in previous years.
Thank you, sir. Are there questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item approved. Next
Thank you.
item.
The next item is BC 2021-599, Department of Information Technology submitting an amendment to contract with DWR Consulting for consulting services to maintain, upgrade, and support the famous and payroll system applications for the period April 1st, 2016 through March 31st, 2021, to extend the time period to March 31st, 2022, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $72,000.
Janelle Green, Department of IT. This contract is with an individual contractor who supplies data migration from our current payroll system into Infor, and then also into the data lake, which will be our data warehouse for all the data that's in Famous. The reason why it is late is because we had a dispute with the vendor about the documents that he needed to submit and how timely it is. So he does have invoices that have built that we have not paid because of the lack of the documentation. This work will allow us to have the transition from Famous into the Infor system and again the data lake after the payroll and WFM go live. and then there's a transition period for the data to go into the warehouse. That can only occur after the data is static in the system. So that's why the date's for March 31st, 22.
Okay, thank you, Janelle. Questions from the board on this item?
Yes.
Councilman Miller.
So the latest indications from the ERP installation team suggest that one likely scenario might be that the payroll could be implemented on schedule around the first of the year, but the WFM might take up to an additional 6 months. And if that situation were to arise, would we need to extend this contract further, or would implementation of the payroll system would be sufficient to allow us to finish with this contract?
It is possible. Depends on what data we all need to transfer out. Most of the WFM data would be in the SAP system, which does not have anything to do with the mainframe system. If there's any delays or anything like that, we would definitely come forth with an amendment. But as of right now, as of what I know, I don't believe we need an amendment at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Additional questions on this item? Yes, Councilwoman Baker.
So this would come to us no matter where we were on payroll, whether we started in January or the whole thing was postponed till next June, or this is routine. You would have asked for this anyway.
Yes, the vendor have been working on our famous system before then, before the ERP really the process even started. So we would need that support from him moving forward. But since he's really focused on transitioning the data from famous on into Infor, that's what he's been focused on, and that's why it's hitting that particular accounting unit for ERP.
And just to clarify for me, if ERP was really on task and WFM and payroll were good to go for a January payroll date, would you still be asking for this?
Yes, we would still be asking for it because he is doing that transition, because outside of the transition from famous to Infor, it's also the transition of information into the data lake for the, I think we have to go 7 to 10 years backwards. Okay. So he is also helping with that process as well.
So this time next year, you'll be asking for the same?
Next year, we should be off of it. So no, we should not be asking for it moving forward. If we're off of famous, we should not be asking for this moving forward.
Thanks for that clarification. Appreciate it.
Okay.
So we're adding time and money, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And when was the, if you know, when was the original time that we were supposed to be done with famous?
That I do not know. I mean, off the top of my head, I believe it was 2018. I'm not 100%. I'd have to go back and check on that.
Okay. And this is the same, this extension is $72,000, and what was the previous extension, do you know?
I believe it was $60,000 for the previous extension.
Okay.
Okay. Any final questions on this item? Bless you. Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
The next item is BC 2021-600, Department of Information Technology submitting an amendment to contract with Cantu Incorporated for cloud-based digital asset management system services for the period October 28, 2019 through October 27, 2021, to extend the time period to October 31, 2024, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $36,600.
Janelle Green, Department of IT. This would be a renewal of a contract with Canto. When we talk about digital assets, these are pictures and videos taken by the multimedia department. So anytime the team goes out and takes photos at location and also does any videos there, they go into this system, that allows them to catalog and tag the images, so that way they're easier to search and maintain, and there's thousands upon thousands of images and videos in the system. This price has not increased since the original contract period from 2019. It is $12,200 annually, and I'll take any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Janelle. Are there any questions on this item?
Is this proprietary? Is that, I mean, did we,
It is proprietary to them.
yeah, I got it, okay.
I'm sure there's other people, but.
Yeah.
It is, yes. This one is included in our IT standards as deemed by the TAC board, so just wanted to make sure you know that as well.
Any additional questions? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item approved.
Thank
Next
you.
item.
The next item is BC 2021-601, Department of Workforce Development, submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to Urban League of Greater Cleveland in the amount not to exceed $249,500 for training and job placement services for 75 eligible participants and diversity, equity, and inclusion support services to local employers in connection with the Enhanced Skills for Success program for the period October 25th, 2021 through June 30th, 2022, and recommending an award and enter into a contract with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Lauren Carey with Department of Workforce Development. This contract and exemption is the result from federal funding that was awarded to the state's Office of Workforce Development. They did a competitive solicitation. They had discretionary dollars to award, and they had identified diversity, equity, and inclusion advancement as a priority item for these dollars. So we elected to join with the Urban League as part of the solicitation, and they had the capacity to provide the requested services. We also have a current partnership and collaboration under the Ohio to Work program with them. This program will assist both businesses and underserved job seekers. There will be a Race Equity Institute that the Urban League will assist businesses with their DEI efforts. As part of our DEI efforts at Ohio Means Jobs, we surveyed businesses regarding DEI, and many indicated that they could use some guidance with their efforts. So the Urban League will provide that guidance. This will also serve any other businesses that are interested moving forward. And supporting job seekers, the pilot program will provide 25 hours of soft skills training to an estimated 75 individuals. It will focus on job readiness, retention, and career advancement. And we currently have 4 employers: Rocket Mortgage, Rockwell Automation, Cleveland Clinic, and Lincoln Electric, who are committed to hiring successful completers of this Urban League program.
Okay, thank you, Lauren. Questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Item approved.
Thank you.
Next item.
Next item is BC 2021-602, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services, recommending an award and enter into agreement with the City of Cleveland in the amount not to exceed $415,125 for the enforcement of high-risk domestic violence warrants in connection with the FY 2020 Improving Criminal Justice Responses to Domestic Violence, Dating Violence, Sexual Assault, and Stalking Grant Program for the period October 25th, 2021 through September 30th, 2023.
Good morning, Mary Beth Vaughn from Public Safety. This contract will reimburse the Cleveland Police Division's Neighborhood Impact and Community Engagement Unit to prioritize the enforcement of arrest warrants in the cases of high-risk domestic violence by performing targeted sweeps. Specifically, this will do sweeps up to 2 times a month, as well as we can request emergency enforcement at any time.
Thank you, Mary Beth. Questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
The next item is BC 2021-603, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services, submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to Mental Health Services for Homeless Persons Incorporated, doing business as Frontline Service, in the amount not to exceed $226,151 for Defending Childhood Central Intake and Assessment Services in connection with the FY 2022 Victims of Crime Act grant for the period October 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2022, and recommending an award and enter into a contract with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Mary Beth Vaughn again. This is, as the caption reads, is for intake and assessment services for children who are referred to the Defending Childhood Initiative. These are children who have been experienced or exposed to violence. This is a partner that was specifically named in our grant application, which is why the reason for the exemption.
Thank you again, Mary Beth. Questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Boyle. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
The next item is BC 2021-604, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services, submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in award recommendation to Mental Health Services for Homeless Persons Incorporated, doing business as Frontline Service, in the amount not to exceed $10,000 for evidence-based trauma-informed treatment of child victims and witnesses of violence in connection with the Defending Childhood Initiative project for the period October 1st, 2021 through September 30th of 2022, and recommending an award and enter in contract with said RFP exemption.
Good morning. This is also another contract, a partner that was specifically named in our VOCA grant application. This is for therapy services, but this is the payer of last resort. What happens is if a child comes to the program and they have private insurance or they're eligible for Medicaid, Frontline will actually bill them first. So this is just for children who don't have any other option for therapy services. And this is one of two contracts that we have. The other one is still with the other vendor.
Okay, thank you, Mary Beth. Questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Boyle. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
The next item is BC 2021-605, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services, recommending an award on a purchase order to Vasu Communications Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $184,949.40 for the purchase of various communications equipment to upgrade the Cuyahoga County Fire-Based Radio System.
This is to replace the current low-band radio transmitters with 11 new UHF P25 compliant radio-based stations in Cuyahoga County. This grant will be paying for the equipment. Cuyahoga County themselves will actually be paying for the installation. This was competitively bid, and we're making a recommendation to the lowest cost vendor. This is grant funded, and Ohio EMA has approved the award.
Thank you, Mary Beth. I just have a quick question. I see fiscal year 18.
Correct.
How long do you think that continues?
Well, we've had to extend fiscal 18 through January 31st of 2022
Okay.
because of supply chain issues.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Are there additional questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item approved. Next item. Thanks.
The next item is BC 2021-606, Office of the Medical Examiner, recommending an award on a purchase order to Promega Corporation in the amount not to exceed $16,624.40 for a sole source purchase of one PowerPlex Fusion 5C kit for Parentage Department.
Hugh Shannon, Medical Examiner's Office. This is supplies for the Parentage DNA lab, and it's using our federal DNA grant.
Thank you, Hugh. Questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next
Thank you.
item.
The next item is BC 2021-607, Sheriff's Department submitting an amendment to agreement with the City of Euclid for inmate housing services for the period February 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2021, to extend the time period to December 31st, 2022, and for additional revenue in the estimated amount of $275,000.
Hi, Laura Sims with the Sheriff's Department. This is a contract an agreement with the City of Euclid to, as revenue generating, to house their inmates in our jail.
Okay, Laura, thank you. Are there questions from the board on this item? Councilman Miller, please.
Yes. Do we have an understanding with the City of Euclid as to how long we're going to continue to do this? Is this year the last year, or is it open-ended? What's the status on this?
Well, I brought somebody to help me answer some questions.
Phone a friend.
The current contract is only the end of 22 next year. However, other than that, the sheriff can speak to that.
Yeah, thank you to the councilman through the chair. There is no current plan to terminate services to Euclid, but we are doing this by one-year contract so that we have some flexibility should circumstances change over time, that we'll be able to make appropriate modifications or notifications.
So, on average, how many prisoners per day do we house for Euclid?
Currently, we are housing intake between 1 and 2 per day, but at the same time, within the next day or so, those prisoners are cycling out because they're either bonding out or accessing some other criminal justice service that allows release, or they become our responsibility because there's an indictment and we are then housing them as county prisoners.
And how much compensation do we get?
Laura has those numbers, I believe.
I don't have the per diem rate for.
I think it's, I have it, I think it's $105.26. At least that's what the contract reads.
Yeah, but I think to the councilman's point, our monthly billings on average are around $19,000 a month.
Are there any other communities for which we house prisoners?
Yes, sir, there are. I believe there are 4 others: Bratnall, Woodmere, Cleveland Metro Parks, Richmond Heights, and Highland Heights. There are 5 more, 6 total.
And when we get the new jail built, is this something we expect to continue to do at the new jail, or are we planning to phase out this process?
I would say that right now the philosophy is that this is something that we would continue to do because it rolls right into the overarching philosophy we have of a central booking process where people come into a booking system and then we try to find the most expeditious way to get them into other services other than being incarcerated in the jail, and that would include all of our municipal partners in that process as well. So I think that the short answer is this would be something we would be looking at continuing in a new jail facility.
Okay, well, I think we should just make sure that that we get properly compensated.
Absolutely, yes.
You know, if we continue to do this at the new jail, the compensation should include both the operating cost and some portion of the construction cost.
In my short history of being here, when we have negotiated these things, I have been a zealous supporter of the county's position in recouping all its costs, and I plan to continue to do so.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Baker, please.
Just a curious question. The other 4 cities that you mentioned, you said 1 to 2 for Euclid. Combined on those 4, how many more are we taking in?
I don't have those numbers, ma'am, but I
Yeah,
can
I know
tell you.
it's not on the list.
Yeah, well, on the,
It's not part of it.
for example, Woodmere or Bracknell, one of the 2 smaller ones,
Yeah,
I think to date, we've taken 3.
to date.
Yeah.
Okay. And
So
would
it's
you-
not, this is the largest of all of them.
Okay. The others are just as small as Bracknell?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any additional? Mr. Boyle, please.
Yeah, so, Sheriff, we've had some conversations about this. This contract with Euclid is for, not just for felonies, but obviously, we are the jail for the city of Euclid, correct?
Yes, we provide booking and housing services.
Well, and post-sentencing, so if the Euclid judge sentences somebody for a 15-day jail sentence, that person comes here.
I don't know the terms of the contract that
Here,
well,
I'm looking
sir,
at it,
so
it says, county agrees to house prisoners who are committed and charged with at least one offense by Euclid or sentenced to serve a period of incarceration by the judge in Euclid Muni Court. So, I mean, I read it to say that it's before, during, and after, that the county jail is actually the Euclid jail.
I would agree with you that that is what the contract says, yes, sir.
Okay, and so, we've had conversations and I've spoken with the Euclid representatives that they can't get their sentenced prisoners into our jail. I mean, would you expound on that?
Yeah, there's 2 factors that are currently supporting a continued prior sheriff's order to not accept sentenced misdemeanors. The first one of which is staffing. We currently do not have the staff that will allow us to house all of the people that people want to have incarcerated. We are making every effort to fix that, and the most recent example is a hiring event that we had last week where we were able to extend 126 contingent job offers in a matter of 4 hours. So we are hoping that by first quarter of next year, staffing will no longer be a problem. But secondly, and probably more importantly, I know we don't talk about it much, but the impact of COVID on jail operations is still huge. We still have to isolate, we still have to quarantine, and we still have to segregate our movements of different inmates. And exposing misdemeanants from municipal jails to a congregant jail setting is not safe for the inmates, as well as it's not safe for the current inmates and staff. Unfortunately, I did recently attend the funeral of a CO that died from COVID. It is still a threat, and we are still trying to manage it as much as we can. We've initiated an inmate vaccination incentive program. We're trying to get everybody in the jail vaccinated. But based on staffing and based on the way that we currently have to house, the order that prevents sentenced misdemeanors from all municipalities is still in effect. And as you know, and as we've discussed, while that is the order, we do try to work with all of the various municipal courts and the municipal court staffs to try to find alternative places to get those people housed or in different programs so that they're still adequately serviced.
Yeah, that's great, but I mean, I think it reinforces the concept that this regional, I mean, what are the primary goal of the project is jail regionalization. I mean, and if I'm in the city of Euclid, I get what you're saying. I mean, but they've got a contract. The contract's, the contract is what it is, and you and I have discussed, I don't think this order is worth the paper it's written on. It doesn't have it's not cite any law, and I don't know that there's any law that says that the sheriff can refuse to accept the people. And so, I mean, I'm looking at it from the concept of, as Councilman Miller said, I mean, we have to have a holistic conversation about what we're doing with our jail and whether or not we want to actually be involved in these agreements with these communities when, quite frankly, we're not living up to our end of the bargain. So I'm not going to ask you to comment on that, but it's not lost on me that the next matter on here is we've entered an agreement with the city of Euclid, and the next matter that's in front of us is us entering an agreement with another entity for jail purposes. I mean, and I know you're new, but this is something that this county has got to deal with.
Well, and I appreciate the fact that you don't require a comment, but I will comment, and that is that those contracts can be terminated. And you know as well as I do that if we terminated that Euclid contract right now, based on booking and intake, they would be in much worse situation than they currently are. And we're trying to accommodate all of our partners the best that we can with the circumstances and with the resources we have available.
I don't think anyone would say that the county comes into that conversation with clean hands, but
And I agree with you as well.
fair enough.
Okay, thank you for the nice display here. Any final questions on this item? Seeing none, I will.
Wait, I do have an, what
Sure.
are we charging City of Cleveland for their misdemeanor? Are they getting the same rate? Are they at 105? And, or the other communities, you know what they pay?
All of those communities are at the same rate.
Got it, thank you.
And again, comment not required, but I will comment. The per diem for all of those communities jumped significantly based upon COVID.
Yeah, I think it's like
It was
120.
artificially inflated because we had artificially deflated the number of prisoners at one point in 2020. So it was a unanimous decision on behalf of the executive and myself to not raise rates based upon those artificially inflated numbers. So the numbers are the same as they would have been in 2020.
Yeah, and I worry about the yes, misdemeanors are different than felony folks, but at the end of the day, they're still inmates that we have an obligation to protect safely. And all that being said, you know, it sounds like we're giving priority to the county prisoners rather than the ones with the City of Euclid, regardless of the offense severity of it. I mean, I don't know that the county's refusing to accept any of the 34 common pleas judges.
Absolutely we are.
That's going to be a problem.
We do that with alternative sentencing means.
All right, at this time, I will make a motion to approve this item. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Lee Tucker. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item approved. Next item, please.
The next item is BC 2021-608, Sheriff's Department submitting an amendment to agreement with the City of Solon for outsourcing prisoner board and care services to reduce the average daily population for the period January 1, 2021 through December 31st, 2021, to extend the time period to December 31st, 2022, and for the additional funds in the amount not to exceed $30,000.
Laura Sims from the Sheriff's Department again. This is an amendment to an existing agreement to extend for time and funds with the City of Solon to be able to send some of our prisoners, this is the general fund one, so that they invoice us for us sending prisoners there. There are some times where that becomes necessary to send our prisoners to other jails due to safety reasons for the inmates, that they can't stay here, and we have to find another place for them.
Okay, Laura, thank you. Questions from the board on this item, please? Seeing none, then, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item, please.
The next item is BC 2021-609, Department of Health and Human Services, Community Initiatives Division, Office of Homeless Services, submitting an amendment to contract with Mental Health Services for Homeless Persons Incorporated, doing business as Frontline Service for coordinated intake and assessment services for homeless individuals and families for the period January 1, 2018 through December 31st, 2021, for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $500,000.
Morning, Paul Porter, Health and Human Services on behalf of the Office of Homeless Services. This is additional funding for the county's contract for coordinated intake with Frontline. Coordinated intake is basically the front door for the county's homeless services continuum of care. Anybody who needs to come into a shelter environment goes through coordinated intake first. Our contract with Frontline is funded through a variety of sources. Those include state funds, multiple instances of federal funding, and then some levy funding as well. This $500,000 represents a federal grant that goes back to February of this year. So we are able to back bill for some services that were already delivered by Frontline. We didn't receive notice of these additional funds until August of this year, and then worked with the feds and the vendor to get the amendment in place. Typically, for federal funding, we're required to go through an application process. During the COVID pandemic, there have been several instances where the federal government have said, we want to give you additional funds, but you have to use those funds on contracts that you currently have. That's the reason that this is now the 8th amendment with Frontline. This contract started well before the pandemic in 2018, and it had been amended a couple of times before the pandemic. But then the additional federal funds that didn't require a new application or a new contract were just kind of awarded without a requirement for paperwork on our end. That's why we're moving forward with an amendment instead of a new contract. I will note we're going through the award process for the Federal Emergency Solutions Grant right now, and Frontline was the only applicant for coordinated intake services. So we do anticipate making an award with those Emergency Solutions Grant dollars for a new contract for Frontline. After that, since they did a competitive process to apply for that, we may well look at either an alternative procurement to award additional funds using that competitive process as the basis, or look at doing amendments to include additional funds as a result of that competitive process. Happy to answer any questions about this one.
Thank you, Paul. Are there questions from the board on this item? Please, Councilwoman Baker.
So just for clarity, you received notification of this grant in August?
Correct.
And that is to pay, and why, I guess, why did they do that? It's to pay for past expenses that you may or may not have had? I mean, why did they think that in August you would need something to pay for past bills?
Thank you, Councilwoman. So again, usually there's a competitive award process associated with these dollars. I think it was just a case of the federal government running behind due to the pandemic. And in some ways, I think some of these are contingent upon budget discussions that happen at the federal level. So this is typically, this particular batch of funding is a HUD grant for coordinated entry. It typically runs on a February 1 to January 31 basis. And I think what likely happened is it took the feds that long to determine the funding amounts going back to February. That's why they said, you know, your prior funding for this type of grant expired January 31 of this year. However, again, because the contract has multiple funding sources, that only represented one piece of the funding. We're not changing the dates on the contract or anything. So we've been paying the vendor for these services with other funding sources. It's just, you know, the Fed said we could go backwards if we need to. I don't have the actual expenses incurred versus what we've been able to pay with other sources in front of me. But the unique thing about these dollars is it's not like the state funds can be used only for one part and the federal funds only for one part. Because it's kind of a singular service, we can use all the funds for the delivery of this service.
Just as a follow-up, and that was going to be my next question, is will some of these services be reimbursed then for what we've already paid?
Certainly, we do anticipate that we'll be able to exhaust the entire $500,000. And again, I don't know how much of that will be prior to today's date. I can say that the amendment itself is listed as effective upon approval with the understanding that we can backdate some expenses.
Okay, good, thank you.
Okay, any final questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Baker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved.
Thank you.
Moving on to today's consent agenda.
The consent agenda is for BC 2021-610 only.
Okay, board members, feel free if you have any questions on any of them. Yes, Councilwoman Baker, please.
One question on the tax bill mailing. Will there be explanation in there of how they can go to the Board of Revision, anything outside of just the bill that lets them know that if they are in dispute, given the perhaps higher appraisal, that there is a way that they
Well,
can.
this is a little different. This is for the easy pay. This isn't,
It's for the easy
for the
pay.
triennial.
I thought it was for the mailing.
Remember, their initial letter they got from the board of, with the triennial update, it indicated their options, who to call.
Right. I
Was
was
right
just-
in that letter.
Right.
And I've been, as you know, been going out to community meetings. I got 3 more this week, so.
Right. Well, for that person who's not paying attention, maybe, and.
Well, if they got the letter, they're paying attention.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But this says the plan is to mail bill letters out. That's why I asked.
And Ray, if you want to delve into a little bit more about what you're doing here with this, please.
With weeklies?
Yeah.
Good morning. I'm Ray McDaniel, the Chief Deputy Treasurer. This agreement is for us to provide a convenience for taxpayers to pay their current tax bill on a monthly basis. We anticipate about 27,000 taxpayers participating in this program, and they have the option to either have that money withdrawn from their checking account or they can send in coupons. We've seen an increase in the enrollment of this program this year. We have about 1,300 taxpayers that enrolled into this program, and this is just a convenient way for them to pay their bills, their current bill.
Puts them
May
on a
I ask,
budget. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Is there any surcharge or an additional cost for them to choose to do it?
No, there's no
electronically?
additional surcharge for them to do it. They may receive a fee for insufficient funds
Okay,
if the ACH is declined or if the check bounced.
but for the service that we're
But
offering.
for the service, there's no additional cost.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Any additional questions on that item or any other item of the consent agenda?
One additional, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
If they don't sign up in January, can they sign up anytime mid-year to continue to change from one payment to another?
They can sign up, yes. They can change throughout the year, and they
Okay.
can sign up anytime. This is just an opportunity or an option for them to pay their bill ahead of time.
Okay.
So they can join at any point in time throughout the year.
So when they get their bill in, what, June, is it?
Well, December, they're going to be getting one.
They'll be getting the bill in December, and then we'll start the program
Right,
in February, and that program will last, and so we can collect for the second half of the 21 tax year.
right.
So we're in the process now of collecting for the first half of 21
Right.
tax year.
If they were to pass on it now, let's say they just, I'm just gonna pay my bills, I haven't had time to think about it yet, and then they go for this mid-year one and say, I'd like to sign up and now start my monthly payments, can they do that?
They can do that, exactly. Or the other thing is that if they're in the program now, and let's say they're midway through that program and they decide not to pay the last 3 payments, they then we'll take the escrow money out, we'll pay for the first 3, and then at the end, and when the bill is due, they will pay the remainder of the balance.
Good, it's a lot of flexibility.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good,
So they have that option.
good, thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, seeing no further questions on today's consent agenda item, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Lee Tucker. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Today's consent agenda is approved. Moving on to other business.
No other business,
No other business. Any public comment?
no public comments.
I will make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.